I think it's probably largely forgotten by people below a certain age that there was a time that seeing a video clip on a home electronic device, a digitized clip, was a novelty.
You're going to get to know a lot about me, maybe even more than you imagine.
The big promise of CD-ROM was that it had an amazing amount of memory capacity compared to a cartridge. And then the question was, what do you actually fill that memory with?
It felt like it was kind of limitless when it came to CD-ROM. It was so much storage for that time. Hard drives alone were usually just in like the tens of megabytes in the 80s. And here came like this little plate, and it was giving you 650 megabytes of data. And that was a lot at that time.
A good friend of our family was always really up on the latest technology. And he showed me a CD-ROM drive for the first time. No games at the time, but it was an old CD-ROM drive that you loaded with a caddy system. So you actually put the disc in this plastic tray, close the flap, slide that thing in, and it seemed like infinite data. So just the fact that you could cram it full of stuff, immediately in my head, I'm like, oh man, games.
I only saw that medium as music, and I just didn't understand how it worked. So it just didn't make any sense to me. It felt like when my friend showed it to me and put the CD in there, I just didn't believe him that it was games and it was going to work.
When I first encountered CD-ROMs, I was deeply skeptical on console. They were slow. They were slow to load. The FMV effects did not impress me after the first few minutes, especially since my first exposure to FMV was in the arcade with Laserdisc, where they'd actually been better done than some of the early examples there. I was very sensitive to loading times. Even though I used PCs quite a bit and was used to them in that space, I thought of consoles as an instantaneous place to play video games, and I separated those in my mind.
But certainly the game industry was ready for the jump that a cheaper medium would provide.
The memory inside cartridges is very restrictive. It's very expensive to kind of upgrade that. CDs opened this whole world of possibilities for really, really nice renders and even videos.
All the magazines had hyped up that you could have CD music and anime cutscenes.
I think it's kind of natural that that's the direction that it went, that all of a sudden when people realized that they could have hyper-realistic stuff, well, what's more hyper-realistic than pointing a video camera at someone? So, you can get the best graphics on a CD that way.
So like video in the game space started with Laserdisc, right? And then it kind of went away for a while. And then now with the advent of CD-ROM, it was like, we can do this at home. And that's kind of what kicked things off.